Hello friends, welcome back to the channel. If you're new here, my name is Daniel and I'm a former engineer running now an online course creating agency. And in this video, we are going to be covering how I do my weekly reviews for maximizing productivity in the next week. This is the structure that we are going to be following in this video. First, we are going to be covering why planning is actually important. Then we are going to be covering the differences between doing a weekly planning versus a monthly or a daily planning, which are the pros and cons. And then we are going to be covering the full planning workflow that I follow every end of the week and that I'm super proud of. Okay, so let's get into it. Why planning is important? Planning is a process of self-awareness. It allows us to take perspective from our busy life and actually reflect on what is really important for us and to see what actions is going to help us move towards our goals. A good analogy that I like always to tell is that this is like when you are swimming and you take your head out of the water to breathe, to see where you're going, and then you go back to swimming. So this is for me what this review is all about. Planning is also very important to avoid the shiny object syndrome. We work with computers almost 24/7 all our waking life, and our brains are more scattered than they were before. It has become increasingly difficult to focus our brain in one and only task for a long period of time, and our brain will tend to jump from task to another task mindlessly. If you are browsing, researching for something, you will jump into a different topic and it will be impossible for you to get in course. And this will make your productivity suffer a big deal. If you want to learn a little bit more about the effect that the internet is doing to our brains and our attention spans, I recommend you to read The Shallows by Nicholas Carr. This was the first book that I read on the subject and it was mind-blowing how big the effect of the internet is on us. So if you want to get the book, you can check the link down in the description. So why do I recommend planning weeks instead of months or days? Okay, planning weeks allows you to take more perspective of your life. By planning 7 days ahead, you have a much more clear vision on where this week is going to bring you by the end of it. Conversely, planning a full month, I don't think is doable because there is too much entropy. There is too many things that can happen that is going to crash your plans. And on the other side, planning day by day doesn't allow you to take the needed perspective that you need in order to move towards your goals. This will be like taking a very, very short breath when you are swimming and you don't even have time to look where you're going. Therefore, I have found 7 days planning the sweet spot between having enough perspective and actually making plans that are doable. Okay, so what is the process that I follow every week? This planning process takes place every Sunday. If for some weird reason, such as social life, for example, I am not able to do my weekly review on the Sunday, I will do it Monday first thing in the morning. I am not allowed to start my work or to read any email whatsoever if I haven't done my weekly review first thing. This is a non-negotiable for me. So me particularly for this workflow, I use Notion, which is my favorite productivity app of all time. So let me show you how this works. Now we're here in Notion. This is my main dashboard where I have all my information and I have created a page here for these periodic reviews. You can see here I'm just showing the current week and the current month. I also do a monthly review, but this we will cover in a different video. So for doing a weekly review, I'm just gonna open this page of the current week. And within this week's database, I have created a template that allows me to go through my weekly review. And this will auto-populate. So this first part in blue focuses on the past week. So this is a way to review my past performance. First, I'm welcome to all the tasks that I have done the past week with the day of the week and the number of tasks. This is to give me more perspective of what I have accomplished last week because maybe I already forgot. And Notion makes it very easy because here is just a linked database to my task database and I'm using the filter for everything that is done within the past week. Then the next step is to review the effectiveness that I've had this week. Here I can rate myself. Let's say that it was okay. Next step will be to say who or what am I grateful for. Next step will be to write my happy and proud moments. Note that for the accomplishment, this is a relation that is pointing to my accomplishments database. So whenever I feel down, I can just go to this accomplishments database and I will see the aggregation of all the accomplishments that I have done since I started this system. So this really lifts me up. Next step will be the same, but for the negative stuff. The lows and challenges and the disappointments. This disappointments entry, it's also a link to the disappointments database, but this I don't load so much because it can bring me down. No, but it's also a very good exercise to have some reflection of what you did wrong so you can learn from it. Then the next step will be to process my inbox, and this is my email inbox. So in this step, I will close Notion, I will go to my email, and I will process all the emails that are waiting for me there. I'm subscribed to some newsletters, so if they're interesting, I will read them, I will take notes, like I will really process it. And then I will archive all the emails until I have inbox 0. So like this, I manage that every week, by the end of it, I'm inbox 0. This process can take around an hour, sometimes a little bit more. But if I feel that it's taking too much time, I will send all the information that I want to read into my Notion system, and then whenever I have time to read that information, that following my system will resurface whenever I want to consume it. Next step will be to clear the Notion inbox page. Here I have a database which is called inbox, in which I store all the ideas that I don't know where to store when I'm creating them. So first they go to the inbox, and following this process, I make sure that they get processed and they get put in the right place. Following these 2 prompts, what I learned this week, and some inspiration that are in my head. Sometimes I don't even know what to write here, but just by having these prompts here, this forces me to think. And even if it's garbage, what I have in my mind, I will write it down. Because sometimes there is gold. So I encourage you to do the same, to just use these prompts as an example, because you don't know what your brain is going to tell you. So just try it out. So after reviewing what went on the past week, we're going to go to plan the next week. Here first, I'm going to start watching my outcomes database. Within my task management system within Notion, I'm using a 4-layered approach. My pillars, my goals, my outcomes, and my tasks. I will make a separate video about what those are, but so far, this outcomes database are reflecting the measurable events that needs to happen in order for me to fulfill each of my goals. Therefore, here what I'm seeing is the outcomes that are still not completed. Some of them I'm working on them, and some of them are still on hold. And here I can see the progress bar of each of them. This progress bar is normally not very accurate, but if I feel that one of them is too near its completion, and I feel that that outcome it's not really near its completion, this means that I need to add new tasks to it. So therefore, whenever I have this feeling, I will go down here to the second step of the process, and I will add the tasks. This is linked to my tasks database, and here I'm just showing the fields that I need to fulfill every time that I need to add a new task. As you can see, one of the fields that I'm including here is the estimated time that is going to take me to fulfill that task. The reason why is gonna make sense later. So now the third step is to schedule the tasks. So here I have 2 linked databases to the same task database, in which on the left side I'm showing the tasks that haven't been scheduled yet, and on the right I have my calendar that is showing me when I'm going to do each of the tasks. So you can see that right here I'm showing also the estimated time of the tasks, because this is very useful for me whenever I'm dragging them from the left to the right. I can easily see if I'm planning too much for one day, and if this is really doable, or if I'm getting crazy thinking that I'm Superman. So for example, in this Monday, I have 2 tasks that are from 2 to 4 hours, and one that is from 1 to 2. Probably this is too much for one day. So I think this one should be taken away to another day, okay? And this process will take me around 15 minutes or 20 minutes. And until I have all my week planned, I don't go to the next step. If I feel that in the end I have scheduled too much for this week, I will simply drag it back, and that's it. The due date will be removed from that task. In this calendar, I'm also showing my events because they also take some of my time. So for example, I have here an event on Sunday, which is a jazz party in a friend's house. So I have to take that into account when I'm planning my week. And yes, I use the tasks database to also input events. The way that I'm differentiating them is by adding a project that is called event. And those events, whenever the time is passed, by a formula, they will be removed. If you're interested in knowing how, just tell me in the comments below and I will go into more detail. So once I'm done with this process, I will go to these 4 reminders. That is basically just reminding me to do what I just told you that I do. But in case I forgot, I will go through each of them, review the to-do list to make sure that it's updated, review the overdues and move them to the current week, assign dates for the relevant next week tasks, and also ensure that there is one action for each of the outcomes. This is very useful because here I can see my linked outcomes database and see the number of tasks that I have scheduled and the number of tasks that I have not scheduled. So if I see that some of the fields are 0, I will ask myself, do I need to add a new task for this? If so, I will go back up, add new task, use this process to schedule it, and continue. And like this until I feel that I have at least one task for each of the outcomes that I want to pursue. And finally, delete any actions that are no longer of interest. And to guide myself through all the process, I've also added these 2 extra steps. This first step is just to remove these 2 symbols of the current week because I use this whenever I'm relating any other database with my weeks database. This is a very easy way to find what is the current week. This was inspired by my fellow Notion Pro, August Bradley. Next up will be to create the next week's week inside of the database. So the next week I can do the review. And finally, it's a very small part about knowledge management, that is to review my pending notes. I have this notes database for fleeting thoughts that I have throughout the week, etc., that I'm going to be gathering in here, but these notes needs to be processed. So if I include this in my weekly review process, they will always get processed and I will move them around my knowledge hub. That is a space within my Notion where I store all my knowledge. And finally, to clear my computer's desktop. I am a productivity freak and I need my desktop to be always clean and to just contain things that I really use. So for example, if I show you my desktop right now, there is just 2 folders and that's it, and I love this. So just by using this prompt here in my weekly review, I ensure that every time my desktop is clean. So that is it, friends. This is how my weekly review process looks like. It usually takes me around 2 hours to finish it all, but it's worth its time in gold. And I'm gonna explain you why. Now, every day of the following week, all I need to do is to open my computer, open my Notion Today page, and Notion is going to tell me what I need to do in the day. And I can rest assured that these tasks are going to bring me closer to my bigger picture goals because I have followed this process. So I hope you like this video, and if you're after more productivity content, don't forget to subscribe and watch my weekly videos. Until next time.